Success defined for us is living into what God's called you to do day after day and making a kingdom impact for Him. It's the most joyous thing in the world.
Every decision we make just doesn't affect our economy. It affects every single employee's economy here and their families.
If you want to be great, what you have to do is grab people that you go, dude, this guy may be smarter than I am. This guy may be better than I am. And be okay with that.
The kingdom method is about being genuine in your relationships. You can be tough, but you must be fair.
I would never talk about going to church, and people would come up, hey, where do you go to church? That meant that you were living out some of your Christian beliefs.
If you want the most out of your partnerships, you have to treat them with respect. And our faith led in those moments. Welcome back to the Kingdom Method. I'm Jeff Cox. That is Jimmy Dale. And this is Mr. Mark Thompson from Smith Thompson Home Services. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
And what most people probably know about you, or if they don't, they're about to, is that you're one of the biggest Maverick fans in the world.
We are. My wife, Linda, and I, we sure are, yeah. Longtime fans.
I think they've gone to more Maverick games than probably my whole entire team all put together. So how long would you say it was? So this is something else too, not just the home games, but home and away. How many years?
Oh, gosh. Well, we were Mavs fans all the way back to reunion days.
Yeah.
The reunion rowdies. But we got real excited about the Mavs probably when Mark bought the team. That's probably when we turned up the steam, was when he bought the team. There was Dirk and Nash and all the days, So that's when we really became super fans. And the 2010-11 season was also my wife and I's 30th wedding anniversary. And we started talking about, what do you want to do for your anniversary? Go to a trip or go somewhere or whatever. And my older brother actually said, there's 30 cities in the NBA. It was our 30th anniversary. He goes, you guys ought to go to every city with the Mavs. And I said, yeah, that's crazy. We can't do that. And I started looking at the schedule, and a joke kind of turned into a dare. And I started looking at it, and I thought, I think we can do this. So we just blocked off the time, and we started buying tickets, and we just buying from anywhere we could and whatnot, and hotel rooms. And so we went to every city in the NBA with the Mavericks, following them around just like a couple of groupies, and they won the championship that year. And we saw Game 6 in Miami. Linda said, if you don't take me to Game 6, we're not going to stay married. We have to go to that.
There won't be a 31st anniversary, would there?
Yeah, right. There won't be another one. So, it was a dream year. We got a ring. They gave us a ring. And what had happened about this, literally the second game, I think was in Denver, and I was sitting right behind Bob Ortigal, the play-by-play for the Mavericks. And he had seen us in California a couple nights earlier. And he goes, didn't I just see you two? I said, yeah, we were sitting right behind him. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, well, we're going to try to hit every city in the NBA. And so he got all excited, and he told the Fox producer, he said, this couple's lost their minds behind us. And so they began to follow us, kind of like Where's Waldo? They would find us we'd had our jerseys on and whatnot. And they would follow us. Well, there they are, number 9. There's number 12. We're, wherever. And they're going to do it. And so we did it. We hit all 30 cities. So
how many years in a row did y'all go to both?
Go to both
home and away.
Home and away? Oh, my goodness. Probably over 10.
10?
Yeah.
I want to say that's what you told me one time. It was 10 years. And I go, so if you're wanting to know about entrepreneurial dedication and getting
or crazy
and getting stuff done, though. I mean, but like wanting to do something and actually doing it is execution's probably one of the biggest things in our business. That everybody always has great ideas, but to execute those ideas is kind of the paramount thing to move forward and grow and change and do all the things you need to do in business. But I know Mark. Man, he's like one of the most humble guys I know, and man, wildly successful. But yeah, his tickets, they weren't up in the nosebleeds. Like he wasn't eating Kleenex. Like I mean,
you could see him on TV, right? That's the deal.
Yeah, it's that whole I think that rap
song. Didn't start
off
that way.
I can trip a referee. Yeah. Literally, like if you ever
wait a minute, you know that song?
Yeah,
that's wild.
If you want to see him he'll be at the mid court, like right at the front. So
how many games would you say that you have been to? Do you have a count?
I really have never done the math. I'm going to work on that while we're sitting here thinking about it. But we did. We were not sponsors. We didn't know them. They didn't know us from Adam. And the next year, we got some great relationships. We made some terrific relationships with mutual friends of Jimmy and I, and we became sponsors. So it started a long-term sponsorship deal and great friends.
And then you got on the advisory board, right?
Yeah, when the Mavericks had when the Sports Illustrated nightmare happened, the scandal, Sent Marshall, the new CEO, put together kind of a board kind of thing, and she asked me to be on that. So I did that for I think 6 years. So it was a turbulent time, but it was a fun time. You know, I like to work problems out just like we do in business. And it was a tough time for the Mavericks. It was a rough time, as everybody knows, but they got through it.
Well, I think one of the things we had lunch right before this, and Mark was talking to us. And one of the funny things he says, it's kind of what I literally almost said something the same to the CFO at our organization. When I go, hey, was there some time we forgot about EBITDA? Like that is that not important anymore? There's like, good God, no. And I go, well, there's some things going on that aren't really getting us where we need to go. And I think, what did you say that you set up? When did Mark Cuban? I can't remember what exactly you said. But about
the profit and I said, basically this board, this advisory board thing was basically, it was a very diverse board. We had all kinds of. It was a very colorful, very different, and I think I was the only bald-headed, single, conservative Christian on this board, and I would butt heads a few times with a few of them because I wanted to talk about numbers, profit, winning games. I said, I'm pretty sure Mark wants to win games and make money. I'm pretty sure that's what he's in here for. But it was a great time. We butted heads a few times and. Some differences and whatnot. And it's funny, too, because a lot of times when I'd get frustrated and whatnot on this board that I would actually talk to my pastor. And I would tell him, hey, I'm thinking about turning in and just, rolling it up. I'm thinking about getting off this board. And he would say, well, perhaps God's got you there for a reason. Because I did not hide my faith. I'm not ashamed of my faith. And I would just tell him I don't agree with that. I just don't. Again, we were non-binding. It's Mark's team; he can do whatever he wants. But I did. I needed to stand up.
Well, and lately too. I mean, there's been a lot of, I think a lot of us that are the white male Christian feel almost like we're evil, bad people because of that situation. And so I think it's starting to swing around finally, where it's like, hey, we're just people like everybody else.
I agree.
We weren't the guys that did all the horrible bad things way back in the day.
Yeah.
We just lived and went to the same schools, did all the same stuff. And I think what I will say something about Mark that I noticed, he invited me to a game, and so I got to sit with him. And I'll tell you what I noticed is it would take us like literally 15 to 20 minutes to get from wherever we're at back to our seats. And so I want to say, Don Nelson Jr. stops and talks to him, and, the players stop and talk to him, and all these important people talk to him. But I do, Mark Cuban came across, and he shakes his hand. But I want to say that what was impressive is that he talked to the dude that was cleaning the bathrooms. He talked to the security guards. He talked to the lady that was a choreographer for the dancing people. I mean, everybody that came by, he took the time to spend with them and to let them know they're important. I mean, it was really
awesome,
cool to see.
Well, the ushers, I've always had a soft spot for the ushers. I mean, it's a thankless job, and they're always putting out fires and fights, literally sometimes. And I've always had a kind of a soft spot for them, but we made a lot of wonderful friends.
Sounds like you made everyone feel valued.
Well,
and you're sitting here in Mavericks colors right now. Well, it's green and blue. I'm wondering why you hadn't worn the championship ring.
Yeah,
where's the championship ring, Mark? You don't wear it?
I don't have it with me.
You don't wear it?
It's sitting in the safe. But Mark, great people.
Mark would actually like in the end. I think at the end of Dirk's career, like he was flying him out to games.
Yeah,
with Mark was flying in his plane. So if y'all are wondering like why I should listen to Mark, well, because He is a pilot, but he's got his own plane. He got a lot of cool stuff. And I mean, he is that humble guy that won't brag on himself, so I'll brag on him. But I mean, they have a $50 million business. They do alarms to the alarm systems, like residential alarm systems. I'm sure they probably do commercial too, but they do it to a degree that's ridiculous, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's like, I don't know of any company that is a privately held company that does what they do to the level they do it. And then he also is doing a termite, I guess pest control. Mm-hmm. He said he's keeping away anything from 2 legs to 8 legs out of your house. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a great line.
Like a tagline.
Yeah,
out of
that is a great line.
It's cheesy, but it might work.
Yeah.
Well, that's how all the lines are. That's the problem. You gotta get more. You gotta hang out with us more. You'll get more cheesy. And be like, oh yeah, we gotta do that stuff. But it is that. But they started AC this year, and he says they already up to 20 trucks. Really cool. I mean, if you're gonna start AC, and I don't know if anybody's not from Texas that's listening to this, but it is Hades hot.
Finally, we got a summer.
It is.
Oh, I mean, everybody.
It's a perfect summer to be in AC.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, he's gonna get used to this, and like next year it'll be normal, and he'll be like, "Oh gosh, what happened?" Because it is out of control. Like people are calling me, going, "Hey, can you get me in?"
Yeah.
To like, I'm not a Baker Brothers anymore, but I'm like, "Yeah, I could probably get you in," but they're calling me, going, "Hey, they're telling me it's gonna be," because they started saying, "Hey, if your AC's out and it's not your only AC unit." And, it's like safety, like, hey, you're an elderly person, infant at home, and you need the AC on, those kind of things. So they went to that. We haven't done that in a long time, but I was laughing when it was May. It was my first year to be out of AC. And so the very first year I was not held to some budget or something I had to do. And so I remember it was like May, and I was out playing golf, and I was like, man, it's like 72. This is absolutely amazing. So once again, I could enjoy that because I felt so terrible because if it was like that, I'd be like, God, we'll never make our budget. It's only 72 degrees. Oh, my God, we're going to die, and all that. And so it was kind of funny going through this first AC season without that being part of the business that I was responsible for and going, wow, this is really nice outside, and I really enjoyed it because the year before that had been like, what happened to global warming and stuff? I thought it was supposed to be hot. I mean, we got to get some heat in to get the AC going. So,
well, as a Maverick fan, we're going to have to get you back on that tour because it seems like when you go on these tours, they get to the finals. They won in 11. Then you said you did it in 24, right? As well.
We did it 2 years ago. My son and I had my son Jordan is a crazy sports fan. And he said, well, I've only hit 12 of the arenas the away, and I'm chipping away at them, Dad. And I said, he caught me at a weak moment. He goes, I just said, let's go do it again. So I opened my mouth. That's what happens when you do that. And so we hit all 30 again.
Wow.
And so we were there with the team in Cleveland when the Luka trade went down. It was a dark night.
Do we want to talk about this because this is scarring to the people in the Metroplex.
Did that go? Was that an advisory board thing? I bet it was.
No, I was out. I wasn't in it. No,
Mark's like, you can't play me on this.
I had no say. No, that was bizarre.
Yeah, I mean,
just leave it at that.
My son texted me that it was like midnight, right?
It was,
and I thought he was just messing with me.
Everybody did.
And I'm like, come on, man, no way they would do that, and not for that. Yeah. That's not what. We didn't get back just that, did we? But yeah, tell us how that went from maybe an inside, like it was a dark cloud for a while around Dallas.
It was crazy. In fact, at the hotel that it was the next morning, we didn't stay at the hotel every time with the team. We were in a breakfast area there, the restaurant there in Cleveland, and the team always has a room where they have a buffet for them, and they have their meetings and whatnot. It happened to be this team room was just off the restaurant, maybe 30 feet. And I'll never forget this. The next morning, it looked like a funeral in that room. The mouths, I mean, they were white. They were just wide open and dropping. All the play-by-play guys were walking around in a stunned condition. So crazy road trip. And Jordan was all bummed out about it, my son. He was all bummed. Like I said, Jordan, you have to appreciate we were here during this Titanic event.
That's the worst.
It was
trade
the worst.
in the NBA.
Said, one day you'll appreciate that. Yeah, and I said, no, it's a horrible time. But
did you see Luka at all during that? Was he already gone at that point?
No, he was
gone. Sad for a long time. Yeah. Maybe still is.
Strange mix of emotions. Just everybody was stunned. It was just like this can't be happening. But
Wow.
Anyway,
I can imagine being there. That's an awesome story. Just to have. But
my stomach kind of got upset just now when we started talking about this. And I'm like,
hey, well, we got Cooper Flag,
dude,
so you know.
And I'll be honest, if
Second
LeBron
win.
James was on the Lakers, I'd probably be a Lakers fan, but I can't do it with LeBron there. I don't know. I don't
Well, he's
know.
not there anymore.
Oh, is he?
He's
Did
in
he get
Philly.
out?
He's gone.
He's in
okay,
Philly
so
now.
I could root for him. I can root for the Lakers.
And it sounds like Luka's recruiting former Mavericks there a lot.
Yeah.
So
we're quietly. I mean, we're Luka fans. I don't know that I'll ever say I'm a Lakers fan, but nevertheless. But it's funny. We do like to go to LA
Secret.
usually twice a year. We'll
Yeah.
just take the family out there, and it's kind of like Las Vegas. After 1 or 2 nights, I'm ready to go home. But anyway, but in LA, you get to go see the Lakers. Now we see Luka, and it's so it's fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were the only conservative Christian on the advisory board.
I may be exaggerating a little bit, but
That's okay. But tell us about your faith journey, just maybe how you came to know God and Jesus.
Well, I grew up in the Methodist Church. My dad was about as involved with the church as you can be without being a pastor. He was always on the building committee, and he always was the preacher's right arm. So we grew up in church. My parents always had us in church every time the doors open, even Wednesday nights. So, and then I met this beautiful young lady, Linda, and she happened to be a preacher's kid.
Oh.
And evangelical, and so I married a Holy Roller's daughter. So we met at the original Michael's store in Richardson, and it was love at first sight. And we'll celebrate 45 years yesterday.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. 45 years yesterday. So, married. Linda and I got married. We dated for 3.5, 4 years. Did a long distance romance and all that when she went off to Bible college. And so we've been involved in church ever since. I just went from back row Methodist to, evangelical. But her dad's retired now. But that's what. So my faith plays a part in everything I do. Certainly business, that's for sure. I really can't imagine somebody trying to run a business nowadays without some kind of a faith system. My goodness.
And a lot of what I hear is how generous that you are. And do you think that comes from your faith, or is that just something that your father instilled in you and your mother?
Well, my parents certainly did. My parents were very, very generous people. We were a typical middle-class family in Paris, Texas, small town. He was a newspaper editor, and they always gave what they didn't even have to give. But and I know in Proverbs 11:25 is probably my favorite verse if I had to pick one. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will be himself, refreshed himself. And I believe that. And I think it works regardless of what your belief system is. I mean, it's a biblical mandate. It happens for anybody. So we do. We try to give whenever we can. Giving is, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the secret sauce to someone that didn't last 6 weeks in college, and I didn't.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I always talk about is when I don't talk about church and kind of beat everybody in the head at Baker Brothers and go, well, hey guys, I'm going to go to church Sunday. I mean, I always said one of the best compliments I ever had was that you knew I did without you asked me, hey, where do I go? And I never mentioned it to you. And that's Mark. Mark and I have never had a faith conversation, but I could just tell you.
It just comes out.
Yeah, by how he's generous. One, it's with his money, but also with his time. Like I said, walking through and just seeing the average guy that people just kind of block out and just keep walking. But he starts conversation with them and says, hey, how you doing? What's going on? If he didn't know them, then he'd definitely go over there and talk to them and find out who they are and just to just spend a little time.
Well, thank you.
Generosity doesn't have to do with just money.
Just money.
Time and ability. I mean, I'll be honest, it's easier for me to cut a check than to cut out 3 hours or 5 hours to go do something, for sure. So, and one of the things, excuse me, that I always want to say about, the generosity piece is, to me, it's about perspective. And to me, if you think about, hey, look, if you let me borrow $20 and then I go give that $20 away, it's not really that hard to give it away. Yeah. But that's kind of what we do. I mean, God gave us this to be stewards over, and us giving it is really should be a pretty simple thing. And I know it's not, and a lot of people, I struggle, even as much as I do struggle sometimes. And I think sometimes we try to do that, where we like investigate it and go, let's make sure that everybody's spending this dollar. And I always used to laugh around, and my wife, when we were 18 years old and dating, we were going through an airport, and a guy had a priest collar on and goes, I gave him $5. She goes, well, you don't know if he's really taking that to the children's deal. He's dressed up like that. And I said, honey, look.
It doesn't matter.
My job to give it. Right. Now, if he goes and does something like that with it.
It's his problem.
I said, there's a special little place, I'm sure, in hell for that guy that's probably extra hot. I go, look, I'm not going to not give, because if I gave 10 times and say 9 times they blew my money and wasted it, the one time they didn't, isn't it worth the other 9 times I gave it? So I think generosity has to be put into perspective.
Well, I agree. You talk about God loves a cheerful giver.
Yes.
It's not, hey, let me give this and investigate the person that I'm going to give it to make sure they're going to maximize the return on my gift. That's not the whole point of giving.
Yes.
Giving is from your heart. It's saying, hey, I've been blessed. Let me bless others with that. And I think it's hard to separate that from either just being a person to a businessman to, if you're generous, it permeates everything that you do.
We overthink it, like you just said. When you give someone, whether it's $5 or $5,000, you're done at that point. It's not your problem. If you gave it with a good heart and you thought it was a good organization, and of course we have to do a little bit of checking, of course. I mean, we have to be good stewards. But once you give it, it really doesn't matter as far as the blessing part. And we're not doing it for the blessing. It is a spiritual law, and I'm not into the give to get thing, because that's been abused. But the bottom line is we all know, if you do give with a cheerful heart, like you said, you do know it's going to come back to you. It may not come back with money. It may come back with a grandchild or a blessing on your family. It may come back with financially. But that's not. I will say this: I can't take credit for some of the biggest breaks we've had in business. That's what I call them, a break, was some good idea or whatever. Typically, I could never prove this, but it coincides with something you did. You may not even remember it on a giving thing, whether it's your time or money or whatever. And God's going to get the credit and the glory for it. He kind of demands it.
He does.
He's a selfish guy, and that's the way he wants, and he's going to make sure that so that we don't walk away with a big head, because it's easy to thump your chest and say, "Look what we built," and in fact, it's really not the case. I mean, you have to show up, we have to do our job, and you got to meet him halfway. But he's going to get the glory for it.
Yeah, and he'll put stuff in front of you.
Yes,
and opportunities that you might not have had. And like you said, what's that called? The prosperity gospel?
Yes.
Hey, if you're good enough and you don't sin and, you pray, you get paid money and everything will be great in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not promised that here. No. We're promised kind of the opposite in a way. We're promised that when we die, not when we're living, right?
That message has been abused.
But I will say that I do think there's something that coincides with someone who gives is someone who's generous.
No question.
That it seems like things always end up working out for them. And I go, if you have God on my side, who's going to beat me? No one. And so I think that that's something else too is, there's a confidence in faith, a confidence you have in yourself, a confidence you go, hey, God put this before me.
It's a combination.
Yeah. I'm going to have faith to step out. And I think we're at lunch, you talked about a childlike faith, which I want to dig into a little more. Mm-hmm. I literally went on a mission trip one time to New York. We're trying to, it's very populated, but not very many churches.
Sure.
And so little 200 people churches. So they were trying to get this church going, and our church was sponsoring that church. And so we were just handing stuff out and kind of what I wouldn't say hard lift evangelism.
Right.
Here's a free water. Here's a free breakfast bar.
Bible track.
And we had a card that just said, "Hey, go to church here" or whatever. So at the end of the day, though, we stopped by, and 9/11 had just happened. Probably, I think it's probably 2013. We were doing this, and so we went to the site where 9/11 was. And one of the guys go, hey, we want to go on each side of this, and I want you guys to read a whole, like a chapter in the gospel. And so we had Matthew. And what was funny is you just don't do that often. You don't read the whole entire book of Matthew. You just always go in and you read little excerpts, you have a Bible study, and you do that. Well, we read the whole thing, and what was funny that just kind of rang true to my head was about childlike faith. It was the guy who comes up and he's the centurion and he's the bad person in Rome or whatever, and comes up to Jesus and goes, hey, my son's sick at home. Lord, can you please do something? He just goes, yes, take me to him. And he goes, Lord, if you just say it so, it's so. Like, just that much faith in him. And he goes, hey, he literally, for all the disciples, goes, well, this man has more faith than all of these. And you're basically going, so the dude who's fishing, and you walk up and go, hey, follow me, drops all of his stuff and walks across, wherever, forever.
Right.
And I mean, I would be kind of bad, like, what? I've gave up all this, and you're going to say he has more faith? But what is seen time and time again is that childlike faith is rewarded. I mean, just to believe for the sake of believing and not go, I don't even know, dude. I'm just going to believe, and I just know it is, and I'm going to be that way, and I'll always have that faith. And I think you celebrate the times that you get blessed and that things happen. But what kind of describe that to, like, that kind of thought to you, what that looks like in your life?
Well, the childlike faith thing, I mean, it's nothing that we coined. It's just, the older I get, and I'll be 68 this week, the older I get, I think the more childlike you get, because he said we don't receive because we don't ask. Now, God's going to, and I'm not into the whole, I'm going to pray for all these things and they better come true, It doesn't work that way. But it always works out better than what we wanted, because he's going to get the glory for it, not us. But sickness, when my oldest son Ryan was a year and a half, he had a leukemia-like disease, and you find yourself, you're not 10 foot tall and bulletproof like you thought you were. You find out you will hit your knees fast. The strongest man that stands the tallest is the ones on his knees. And, you find yourself staring down the barrel, so to speak, and you will get a childlike faith. And we don't pray the prayers, like a big evangelist with a booming voice and all that. You just literally just say, God, here I am again. I've really screwed up. I have botched this. I've said something ugly to my wife, or I did something wrong, or I just botched it. I tried to get ahead of you, and the thing just fell apart or came apart at the seams. And I'm just asking you. I'm an idiot. Would you help me with this? And he doesn't always just patch it right up. That'd be too easy, but he does show you the way to do it. So I mean, the childlike faith is, no reason to overthink it. It's just a childlike faith. It's just like a little kid goes, like the illustration you gave, or touching the hem of the garment, is you have to have that faith. And it's not a guaranteed yes by any stretch, but
and as things happen in your life and you see that happen, your faith becomes stronger, right? And it builds up.
Absolutely.
And you had a tragedy that kind of started you out on this path and this journey to build Smith Thompson, and it started from a very tragic situation.
Turned out in November of '78, was day before deer hunting season. My dad and my brother were going deer hunting up in my hometown of Paris, Texas, about 85 miles from here. And a couple of drunk drivers came over the hill, and he never saw him coming, and he killed him. My brother was in another car. But anyway, the day we buried my dad, we were out of town. We had the funeral in Paris. Our house got broken into, cleaned us out. Oldest trick in the book. Very clever but cruel. Bar mitzvahs, anniversaries, funerals, when they know the house. And back then, they put the obituary, and it said right there, they're going to be out of town. We lived in Plano at the time. And so the day of the funeral, the same neighbor that called me and told me that my dad had a wreck called us and said, I got more bad news. Your house just got broken into, because he saw the van drive away. And they took everything that wasn't nailed down. It was just I'll never forget my mother coming home. We were just cried out. We were just blue. And there was police fingerprint dust everywhere. And it was just the darkest time. But I became fascinated with home security. And back then, alarm systems were only for the wealthy, and they were very expensive. And very few people had an alarm system as we know it today. I was a pilot. I was a flight instructor, and that's what I was going to do. I was going to be a pilot, an airline pilot. So I was building time, a starving flight instructor. And a friend of mine, Jim Smith, who's passed away now, we were best friends, flying buddies. I convinced him to start a home security company. And we scratched up $600 that I didn't have. And we went down, took the test in Austin. You had to be licensed like a private investigator and whatnot. Passed the test, and he did. And we started a company. And that's so out of that tragedy, out of that really dark time, that's how it did. So very, all things work good for those that love the Lord. And I mean, that was a tough one, but it redirected where I was going to go. So I had to decide. Because we were pretty busy, just he and I. We had to decide: are you going to try to be a pilot, or are you going to try to run a business? So, I did that.
Now, how long did you keep flying though? But you kept flying,
I did a
right?
little bit.
On the side.
Yeah, I flew for some private companies, some construction company. I did some instructing, but it got to the point, Jeff, where I literally would maybe have a trip. And I would say, well, we got these 2 alarm systems we have to put in. It would actually cost me more to go out of town. So I finally had to make the decision, are you going to, I was faced with that. So I have to give up my pilot's license, nothing like that. But I had to finally decide
And you were doing the installs, right?
Yeah, we were doing them. We were selling them, installing them. Yeah, it was, we were crawling through attics and in the hottest seasons of the summer. So
Yeah, like attics, you wouldn't believe that.
You probably
some attics.
went through a few attics.
Yeah, I've done that before. Yeah, I've done all that. In fact, I kind of like the attics better than tunneling under the house 30 feet. So that was always fun.
Oh gosh, yes.
But
yes.
The attics, I always thought it was kind of crazy when we started, once tankless came around, we started putting the tankless up in the attic, like, we give them back a closet and do those things. So you start getting in the attic space and you're talking, it's like, there's 150-degree attics.
Yes.
And when you get in them, you automatically know for whatever reason that the temperature about 143 above that, you can just tell. I think you probably feel your skin cooking like you're like a big brisket
what's
up
that
there.
smell? Yeah. What's that smell?
A big brisket up there, just cook it away. But it was funny. I got a conversation with a homeowner one time, and I said, "Look, man, his attic was so hot that it was setting off the fire safety thing for the water heaters. So the new water heaters had this safety device on them that would shut the whole everything off
wow.
if it thought it was a fire. It was so hot it thought it was a fire, and so it was shutting off. And I was laughing. I go, bro, your attic's 150 degrees. And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, there's only a foot between the ceiling and this attic at 150, and you're trying to make that 70. You're like cutting it more than half, and it's not happening, is it? He goes, well, no, it never gets more than 70. I go, dude, we got to cool this off and figure out some way to cool the attic down. But back to kind of the story, what's really interesting is I think it's funny because this is what would happen every time we go on a little mission trip. So we go on this little mission trip for like 10 days, whatever, and we think we're probably just getting more out of it than we're ever doing, by the way. But we go out there just to go see and try to help out and do what we can. But it would be always this one-off thing that we didn't want to do.
Yep.
That was really dumb. Like we just go, okay, if we have to go over there and do that, I guess we'll go do it. So we go over there and do it, all begrudgingly because it's off mission, off our topic, off what we're trying to get done. And then we end up coming all back and finding out that thing we did was the reason why we're there. It was the most important thing. So just like Mark, I think we've all had this. I want to go do this. Well, I want to go become a pilot, and that's what I'm going to do. And when you decide you're going to become a pilot, that's not just this thing that you check a box for me. He's doing hours of training and hours of flying, all this stuff to get it done. And then all of a sudden your life changes and God comes in and just that's kind of a miracle story in a way. It's like really terrible story on one side, but then on the other side is
it's the American dream.
Yeah, exactly.
To take tragedy though.
Yeah.
And something bad that happens to you.
Yeah, that's the part that doesn't happen normally.
Wallowing around in it.
Yeah, exactly.
going, man, what can I do about this? This happens to other people. Truth and justice. Like, hey, I'm going to go make sure that this doesn't happen to other people too. So that's one of the things I found myself as I've got older. I guess I got a little less fight in me. And so I get kind of irritated with myself because I got something going on with the company now that I go, man, it's just not right. And you know what? It's not that much money to me, you know, and I could just blow it off. But they're out doing this to all these other people too. Yeah. And so there's almost this part where we're like, okay, this isn't just about this one-off with me. It's the fact that you do this all the time, and you do it to people that can't do anything about it. And, you know, we've been blessed with the ability to go do something about it. And so it's like whether it's talking on this thing or it's doing whatever, we have the ability to make a difference. And that's kind of the whole thing about the Kingdom Method, what we're trying to do here is we're not trying to get sponsorship money, any kind of money. All we're doing is trying to go and say, hey, can we lay the groundwork for other people that are owners of businesses on things that we've dealt with and how to do them in a way that displays our faith, even without having to go, okay, everybody, let's bow our heads and pray at the meeting, which is great. But I always am the guy who likes to go, hey, don't talk about it, prove it. Let me see how good you are by the way you act, because this is something we always talk about, Mark, on this show too, is, hey, man, none of us cuss in church. But in the parking lot when the dude cuts us off, I mean, we just got out. Now we're over there double-fisted up at the window and yelling and screaming and, like, road raging. But I go, it's the same thing. And that's what we were saying, that sometimes we compartmentalize our lives. Like, we go, okay, check it in to be a good dad, check it in to be a good husband. You know, some people don't do that. I go to church and I'm being a good Christian, check in to being a good boss. Or just getting it done. And sometimes that can be hell on wheels. Like, we can be hard and intense and never appreciate anybody and not pay attention to the little people, like the undercover boss thing. The nicest guy you've ever met up there in his library castle, and they're like, oh man, you hear him interview him, and like, dude, this guy's great. Yeah. This guy's awesome. And then all of a sudden he goes in and puts a mustache on, some glasses, and goes down and rides with someone and finds out that his...
And a really bad wig, by the way.
Yes. And it's like, you think they're doing that going, just let it go, bro. That wig's so bad. Just let the hair go. That's what the person working with. But anyway, the single mom and her child are having to eat cat food to stay alive. Yeah. And now you're directly a part of that. And so what I want to tell everybody, just in defense of that, is... man, we would do orientation. And during orientation, I spoke to every person that we brought. And we hired 100 people in 2 months before. Yeah. But I would sit down and go, hey, guys, here's what the expectation of Baker Brothers is. Here's what we expect you to do in the homes for our customers. Here's what you're our customers. Here's what we expect you to feel. And if you ever don't feel this way, or if you're ever not being supported, or here's my cell phone number. And it's funny, they would kind of I go, no, that doesn't go to my secretary. I don't have two. Yeah. This is my one and only cell phone number, and you're allowed to call or text me if anything I tell you in this room and the expectation of what I tell you doesn't happen. But I'm going to tell you, I probably get 2 phone calls or texts a year, which is fine. And a lot of times we fix that. But you need to understand that, man, don't be the undercover boss. Don't be the guy who thinks that he's good and nice and wonderful, but he's not inspecting at the lowest level that it gets done, or giving somebody a voice to speak up to me. It's called leading up. Let them lead up to me and go, hey, man, why are we doing this? You're causing a problem in my family, or, hey, I'm not making enough money, or, hey, whatever. And, man, we had budgeting guys like there at Baker Brothers would help you with your budget and try to get you back on track. But there's these things that I think so many times we can get there. So don't watch Undercover Boss and laugh and go, that freaking guy's, because that's you probably. Yeah. It's probably all of us. And we got to go, hey, man, we got to make sure that we give an avenue to get up to us so that, because like as your company has got larger and larger, I mean, how have you kind of handled that? Like, because I think that's a big one for a lot of guys here, that they've got this growth happening. Mm-hmm. Hey, how do I, in the growth, ensure quality, ensure the things that I want to happen? What have y'all done to kind of get that?
Well, talking about getting to the boss or whatever, we're probably to a fault. I probably listen to more really minor things that shouldn't get to my wife Linda, who's very active in the business, or myself. I let little things bother me, and I want to know about every little detail, probably to a fault. I probably should have let that go. And I mean, I don't.
That's that pilot thing. I mean, if you don't flip
exactly
one switch, it could be
checklist.
detrimental.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know why does this light mean here on the panel here? But this trouble light. But no, we do, and it's real hard for me to turn loose of. And my son's running the day-to-day most of the time. Linda's still very active, and she's very much active. So it's we're not nearly as big as Baker Brothers, whatnot, but we're in home services, so we're in the same kind of thing. And little problems will get to me, but when it has to do with an employee, that's where I'm going to brag a little bit. We take care of our employees. We do. We take care of our employees, and we talked to the other day on the phone. Today, sadly, the way families are nowadays, they're broken, and it's really a sad state of affairs. And Linda and I, and now Ryan and my son Jordan, we're it. We are the family. Yeah. And they'll come to us and they've got a baby or something, or something's wrong, whether it has to do with money, and it's not always about money. We're it. We're all they have. The family's a mess or whatever. So, you can let that bother you and weigh you down, but that's what we signed up for, so we have to help them. We don't have to, but we do. And so we treat I'm fiercely protective of our staff. When a customer gets really out of hand and gets to the point of ridiculous and they get abusive on the phone, we'll fire a customer. Yep. We will fire a customer in a New York minute. I'd fire my mother if she treated some people the way some of these customers. Maybe
don't you think it's interesting when you fire the customer what they say afterwards? Like they've hated you, everything's bad, you're terrible, all that stuff, and then you finally go, well, I think it's cool. Not everybody's for everybody. Let's part ways, and I'll tell you what, we'll give all your money back, and then
you go use somebody else.
But you can't call us anymore,
right?
Like what they do after that, like they're always like,
I've gotten letters, Jimmy. I've gotten letters.
Please take me back.
I've gotten letters. Well, I've gotten letters before. I keep them like a treasure. I wear them like my Mavs ring. I've had people write letters saying, hey, I just want to apologize. You were absolutely right. I was completely out of line. I was whatever, childish, whatever. And I'm really sorry. I don't expect you to take us back, which we typically don't, depending on. I mean, I'm not saying we would, but yeah, I didn't mean to get off on that deal. But no, we're fiercely protective of our staff. There's nothing that drives me up the wall more than a customer screaming at a $15 an hour receptionist. Really?
And the other part too is you get to go. That's what's kind of funny is the customer's always right, but they can be right somewhere else. That's my deal. You can't, I'll tell you the 2 times I get angry, visibly angry and want to baby shake somebody or hit them in the face is when they mess with one of our customers, somebody messes with one of our customers. Mm-hmm. Dude, it ticks me off to this level that I can't even think. But if they do it to our employees, it's the same thing.
Yes.
And so probably worth price of admission of us doing this today is what I'll say next. I go, so what I used to do when this customer came, so if he got to me, he just plowed through some really professional people that can handle customers to a level, and then they got to me, and I would go and I would look at the people that were bringing it. There's usually 3 of them going, Jimmy, hey, you got to deal with this person, and here's what's going on, and they're telling me everything. And I go, okay, well, I'll get them to kiss the ring before I get off. And they go, what? And I go, I'm going to get them to kiss. They go, what do you mean? I go, they're going to kiss the ring before I get off the phone. They go, what? I go, I'm gonna make them apologize for the way they acted. They're going to apologize.
I've lived this, so it's just bringing back memories.
We're kindred spirits.
I go. They're going to apologize for all the cussing and everything they said. They're also going to tell us that they'll never use anybody else besides us again. And they're going,
done that.
And they're laughing. And they're going, "There's no way. There's no way." And I go, "Okay," but here's kind of the meat and potatoes about this. We always get defensive.
Yeah.
I have my guy from 25 years. My guy, Mark Thompson's been here for 25 years. By God, there's no way he did that. I go, dude, the 25-year guy can have a bad day.
Yeah.
Let's just say, probably something didn't go the way it was supposed to. So I was like, there's 2 things you can do to alleviate this whole situation. You have to have an empathy statement, and then a promise of resolution. And if you'll make those two things, the whole thing goes away. And what it is I listen. I do not say it's our fault.
Yeah.
But I go, I will investigate everything. What your experience that you're describing to me today is just, I want to let you know, it horrifies me. This isn't how we're supposed to do business. Yeah. But I'm going to go find out what's going on. And so you have to have some thick skin for that. Because they can call you some names and say some stuff. And you go,
they will.
When you make that, you let them talk. And then when you make that statement, the next statement you say is, now, I always this is the careful one because you have so much time in the day. What you promise them next? And I go, hey, I'll have this resolved by end of day. I'll have this resolved by tomorrow afternoon, but you will get resolution by tomorrow afternoon. And so those two promises, what that does is it takes them from an adversarial to I'm on your team. I'm protecting our customer journey. And I'm going to be on your team. And so they'll do it, and they will settle way down, and they will typically apologize for everything they said to everyone else because now they're getting help. And they will also say, guys, I've never had this kind of experience ever. And I'm sure Mark's the same way I am. I'm not the owner that goes, why did I have to talk to that person on the phone?
Right.
That's the biggest mistake you can make is you think you're too big time to talk to a customer. Mm-hmm. No. I never was. And I mean, I think even 2 years ago, I had a customer on New Year's Eve. I was at a party and I looked at my email and a guy emailed me at 11:45 and I emailed him at 11:47 saying, when I get back in on the 2nd, I'm going to make sure that all this thing happens. And I go, so I always put it in those frame of minds for our customers and our employees. Guys, if I'm willing to do it, then you should be willing to do it. We talked about, hey, when you're the call center and you pick up the phone and there's an angry customer, you own that customer. I'm sorry you picked that one up, but Mrs. Johnson now is yours. Yeah. And if we don't resolve it, you should come to me. Yeah. And if you give the call to me and go, Jimmy, did you get that customer resolved? Because we don't need to pass the buck and it get lost. That's the worst thing that happens in our business. Is I go, well, I got to talk to the manager or I got to talk to someone else. And we pass it on. And then what happens is it just goes into the oblivion of the 1,000 things that manager has to do that day, and they don't get it done. So I would tell them, man, take a sticky note, write it down, stick it on your computer, and by end of day, if you haven't heard anything, go talk to the person you gave it to and go make sure it happened. Because that's what I was saying. If you really want to have customer service, and I think Bubba used to always say this, inspect what you expect. Mm-hmm. And check it out and make sure it happens to that level. And I think, that's what we were joking around talking about. We don't have to fire a lot of customers.
No, I agree.
But there is a part that I think, what Mark's saying is, and this is what I always say about being a Christian man, that doesn't mean we have to be a doormat and let you cuss us and yell at us and treat our people bad, because that's when I'll get fired up and, I've had guys go, meet me at the house.
Exactly.
I'll be right over there. And
it gets crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I want to circle back to something that you said that kind of registered with me. And you said this situation happened with Mark that changed his life. He could have packed it in, or he could have been bitter, or he could have had a victim mentality. It's, it's not only that, that a drunk driver, did that and you could have been mad at the world or whatever.
There was some of that.
Yeah.
There was some.
I'm sure there was. But it fundamentally changed. Okay, let me go help people that don't have to, so they won't have to experience what we experienced after your dad died. Was everything was stolen. Now, you said at lunch that it wasn't like you got a whole bunch of encouragement from your mom to go do this, right? It was not something easy to do. You said $600, but there was a lot of other stuff that came along with it.
Well, again, my family was just a family that you went to college, you got a job, you got the gold watch, you're very traditional family. And I come along and I want to start my own business. And this is a time right before, if you recall, the Carter administration. I borrowed $100,000 about a year after we started. My mother put up stock that my dad had left. My dad had everything in order. We weren't wealthy by any stretch, but he put up stock and I borrowed money. The interest rates went to 23%. When Carter was in office, it was the Iranian hostage crisis, if you recall.
Still dealing with those guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We got our own. But it's crazy. And so I had a banker breathing down my neck for payments that had tripled. We made every one of them, Jeff. We had to restructure a couple of times. And I had everybody telling me, he said, told you not to start your own business. You shouldn't have done this. But we got through there. We hung in there just like grim death, and we did it. We paid it off, every nickel. We didn't file bankruptcy, nothing like that. And that was my Great Depression, was that $100,000 back then. That was a stack of money. And I'll tell that to new people that that have an entrepreneurial spirit. I'll tell them about that. I'm not against borrowing money necessarily, but to answer your question, yeah, it was a tough time, a very trying time, very tough time. I had Linda. I met her. She was just a rock, still is. But yeah, it was a real tough time. And there's some bitterness. These were just a couple of guys that were just like the town drunks. Mm-hmm. And my dad never knew what hit him. So it had nothing to do with anything racial. Some people would try that a little bit. But my younger brother was very bitter about the break-in. And I was too, actually. Mm-hmm. I mean, who would do something like that? I mean, that's beyond cruel.
Again, a special little hotter place in hell for that guy.
we never caught him.
Never.
I'll tell you a funny story. My brother was working in a gun store. He's a big hunter and whatnot. And we lost all of our guns. I mean, it's just like Santa Claus. He had put all of our guns in a bedspread and just hauled them off, like 20-something guns. One of them was a Civil War musket. Worth a lot of money. But anyway, I had a .22 rifle my dad had given me, and it was missing a bolt, so I never even got to shoot it. And Todd was in the gun store one time, my younger brother, and a guy walked in, and he said, would y'all happen to have, you think you could get a bolt for an H&R 22? Mm. Yeah. And Todd said, yeah, sure, we could do that. I had to order it. Can you bring the gun in? And he was a little nervous. And it's funny, the guy that owned the gun store was a constable on his day job. And he looked up, and Todd kind of like, the guy never came back in. We never got the gun, but I know that was my gun.
Wow.
That's the closest we ever got to solving the burglary. But no, Todd was very bitter about it. And I went on. I had Linda in my life. And so, yeah, it tested our faith. And my mother kids me to this day. I kept telling you guys we're never going to make it. But she's eating crow. But I mean, it never got to that point. But
take
Bob.
that, Mom.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, Bob?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've taken the $600 investment, and now, as Jimmy said, it's a $50 million business. You've gone into pest control.
Yep.
And recently AC.
Yep.
Now, you said you're not in the day-to-day operations, but the family still is.
Yes.
And it's very much a family business.
Oh, absolutely. Linda is, oh, my goodness, she's got her finger on everything. My oldest son, Ryan, does most of the day-to-day hiring and firing, whatnot. And we're at a real interesting point in business about where do we go here. We're very profitable. Times are very good. We're not going to get into every home service. We're by no stretch. We're not going to jump into everything. Pest control was something we had talked about a long time ago. And Ryan wanted to do HVAC. You guys are his heroes. He's always talking about what would Jimmy do, what would Jeff do, and Milestone. So he wants to be the next you guys. And God bless him if that's what he wants to do. But I'm going to stand there, Jeff, and say, I'm going to keep my foot kind of like in the old driver's ed days. I've got a brake pedal on this side too. So I'm going to,
slow down a little bit.
Speed kills. Take it easy. He's growing it like crazy, but take it easy.
We were talking at lunch.
Take it easy.
Next summer, when it's a normal summer, you'll go, what happened? I mean, this was like picking money up off the ground. Then all of a sudden, I know a friend of mine that had an AC company for a long time goes, Jimmy, I mean, I usually go on vacation and stuff during the summer because, I mean, any moron could run an AC company when it's hot. He goes, now when it's off season, he goes, the other 8 months of the year, that's the hard time. So, also let's talk, because I know we're running pretty long on time, but also let's talk about some of the stuff that you're doing, like for some of the young, you told me you were doing some things for some young entrepreneurial guys mm-hmm. that are coming in, and kind of talk to that, because I know a lot of young mm-hmm. entrepreneurs listen to this mm-hmm. and they gain a lot from it. And so I think you're, where do you do that?
Well, in church, obviously, we're very active in our church.
Which church do you go to?
We're in a Assembly of God church in McKinney, Genesis Church. Pastor Charlie Tuttle, great guy, good friend. Charlie and I are great friends, and in my opinion, preachers there's an entrepreneurial bent there as well. Yeah. They're running a business. But we have a lot of guys in our church that want to start a business. And I've got a real soft spot for particularly men and women that want to drive their own ship. And as I've told you before, I am not one of the kind of entrepreneurs that's cash in everything you got, borrow from all your relatives, every credit card you got, and go buy yourself a piece of real estate and hang out a shingle and hope it works. I'm not that way. In fact, I'm completely opposite. I am more don't quit your day job yet. Let's see if you can do this, and it's going to be tough. You're going to do it in your hours and weekends, but get the thing through the incubator stage, and then someday you'll be faced with that good problem of, do I quit my day job, so to speak? But that's a good problem to have to do, albeit tough. But we have a group in our church that it's called Elevate Business, and it's mainly just a group, no real agenda, just to get together for those people that have a business or possibly self-employed, want to be self-employed, or just dreaming about it. Come on. And we'll have some good food. We'll sit around and talk about it, and we will tell war stories, just like we're telling here, for those from these old guys, these old heads, as they say. And then, because if you've got it, as I told Jeff, if you've got that entrepreneurial, I won't call it a disease, but virus in your blood, it's terminal. It's a terminal condition.
Well, and everybody, it's kind of the other thing. And I listen to this guy who's a serial entrepreneur guy, and he goes, "Look, everybody wants to do that, especially when you get to the good end of it."
Sure.
The right. problem that a lot of people don't know is there were 100 other Mark Thompsons, and only one of them made it to where he's at right now, and the other 99, didn't make it. So it's like that, and I think what happens, especially, and we were talking about this at lunch too. Like what I talk about on the show is the false prophets, PROFIT.
That profit, yeah.
Yeah, they get on there. They rent a bunch of. They go out to. I mean, dude, I can tell you right now, guys. I can go out to the private airport and I can go walk out on the tarmac and film a video in front of a
Gulfstream.
Yeah, next to a Gulfstream, and then act like I'm about to go to Canada or whatever. But then the other part too is, it's this. There are some guys that really do that are really that successful. But one, they're not telling you. Sometimes they're forgetting to tell you it's not that easy. And man, there's some dangers involved, and you need to be careful. And the false prophet guys, I mean, some of them aren't profitable. They're trying to drive these sales, like you said, go too fast. Drive a bunch of sales,
can't make it,
and don't have any profitability.
Yeah. Speed kills.
Yes, and so you got to be smart. You've got to get around people and mentors. Don't stop looking for your mentorships online. There's a guy out there online right now in home services that is literally ripping companies off. Like he's very wildly successful. Great. Well,
he has a book to sell.
Yeah, or hey, you pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And that just because he can tell you the secret sauce, but it doesn't mean you can do it. No. So the idea is, so it becomes almost like, man, that's kind of a ripoff. So be careful. I mean, man, that's what's great with Mark's doing. I mean, you're getting face to face with people and talking to them. Talk to those guys.
Tell them the truth.
To people that do it. Tell the truth. They're not boasting. They're not bragging. Yep. And you'll recognize them because they'll have a bit of humility about them. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm sure if I started talking to Mark about, alarm systems and act like I knew everything, he'd probably, let me know pretty quick that he knows more.
Yeah.
And same thing. I was like, if y'all start talking about putting in a water heater, I'm going to be like, guys, look, let me handle
Doesn't
it.
work that way.
Y'all, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be a little cocky
can't
about
fix
it.
anything.
Yeah, well, you should be.
I mean, I'm a little cocky about it. Like, hey, I figured it out. I know how to do it. So, but the idea, though, is there's a humility of people. Like, it's just like the purpose of the show is for us to give back to people, and it's not about trying to get something out of it.
But there's a key element there that you're talking about. It's you didn't have the entrepreneurial spirit to make money. That's not what motivated you to start a business. That's not what motivated you to buy the business from your dad. It was to give other people opportunities to also make money and to solve a problem that maybe fit in a need that's not being met yet. And so there are entrepreneurs that have that spirit of, I want to make money, I want to build this and then sell it to a PE group, which PE groups are hot right now.
Yes, they are.
But there are people that just want to build a business to solve a problem and help people out.
Yeah, and I think,
of course we want to be profitable. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, of course we want to make money. I mean, but like you said, ours started out of a tragedy. We wanted to help people. Number one, never go through that. But yeah, the money will come. The profit's going to come. And of course we have to make money, obviously. But I love to see men and women that just got this twinkle in their eye. They got this dream. They've got this idea, and it's usually a rough idea. I'm not judging them, but that's usually the way it is. But you've got to and sometimes you have to take them down a little bit. Just say, "No, let's do. I love your idea. Let's just talk about this." And you want to tell them the truth, like Jimmy said, and you've got to be brutally honest with them. And there's some cases where they're probably not cut out to be in business for themselves.
It's kind of like American Idol, right? You see the singers out there, you're like, you can't sing.
You got to be Simon.
Who told you? Your mom told you that you could sing at the picnic, and you thought, I'm going to do this.
You got to be Simon.
Well, what you also have to be careful of now, since we told everyone what church it is, that you don't have a bunch of people running to join that group, just so they can.
Jeff, the whole thing, when Charlie and I talked about it, the pastor, the idea was to. People don't really have a place to go. You go buy the Success magazine or Inc. magazine. Of course, all they're going to tell you is the good stories. They're not going to tell you about the 100 that didn't make it. But you got these group of people that have nothing in it. They're not going to profit one iota from you. And it's just mainly a brainstorming session to sit and tell stories about, well, here's what you want. Here's what you need to do if you're serious about this.
And is my idea plausible? Can it work? And I think if there was one thing you could tell somebody who wants to start their own business, what would that one piece of advice be?
Well, obviously pray about it, whatever your belief system is, but you need to really just slow down, think it over. I would not take a huge risk. I wouldn't bet the farm, especially if you've got a family or whatnot. But back to flying, we used to have what's called hangar flying. Hangar flying is when just a bunch of pilots sitting around, usually in a hangar somewhere, telling stories. I learned more from hangar flying than I did in the cockpit, because you're talking to these old crusty pilots typically, and they're telling you stories about what not to do and whatnot. And that's where we got that. And this is the same thing in business, is sit around, let's tell stories. Let me tell you how I got in trouble on taxes, or I got in trouble with the comptroller, or whoever, whatever your story is. And don't do this, or do this, or let me tell you about an advertising thing that I might work. I've got more ideas about advertising listening to Jimmy, and I'm 12 years older than he is. But the thing is that that's the way it works, though. It's just like-minded individuals who have a common belief system, which doesn't hurt. But to answer your question, a lot of prayer, a lot of counsel. Listen to somebody that's done. You don't have to take everything they say, but just you may pick up one thing that'll save your butt one day.
Yeah, and that's something I got to learn from Jimmy firsthand at Baker. He was my mentor. Then I got to go and put it into practice elsewhere, and now I'm mentoring people and passing that along. So it's
Cycle of life.
It's really great to hear that you're doing that for the young entrepreneurs out there, as well as for your own family, your sons too.
Well, my dad recently passed away, and you're walking through these hallways of a place where nobody's doing that great. And nobody cares about what you had, if you had a plane, if you had a bunch of cars, nothing. I mean, you're all in the same place, and you're going the same, and you're going to leave with the same amount that you got here with, which was nothing. So the thing is, if you build your whole life for only material objects and money and things like that, you're going to be pretty sad old man is what's going to happen. But when you build it and you build a legacy, like, mentorship, where number one, guys, if you're a young man, go get mentored. Yes. Find a mentor. Dude, you'd be surprised. You go and talk to somebody who you think they would never even consider talking to you on the phone. They would love to talk to you. But when you go, hey, I really am watching what you do and pay attention, because we all are humans and we love people telling us we're awesome. So go tell some dude you think won't help you that he's awesome, and see, will he talk to you? Will he sit down with you? And I go, so right now I think we're doing 1 Timothy at Lake Point. And what it talked about, and this is one thing I think it's great that Josh says, he's talking about that mentorship in Christianity, like, hey, to mentor people in Christ. And it's basically, that was Paul, he was the old guy, Timothy was the young guy, and that was literally what we're talking about. And he said, hey, look, if your age has a 1 or a 2 or a 3 in it, go find you some guys that their age has a 5, 6, or 7 in it. And then you guys that are 5, 6, or 7, you go find a guy who has a 1 or a 2 or a 3. he goes, I'm 40. He goes, I probably need both. And he goes, so he goes, I'm in the middle. I'll probably need both, which is true. But that was a great thing I think he said. Like, we all, like the guys that are listening that have successful businesses, man, you go find you a guy who's a young man who wants to get things done and work hard. And something else that Mark said about just, not everybody is cut out to do a $100 million business. I just want to tell you that, and not everybody's cut out to do $1 billion business. But I will say the biggest mistake that I see people making is they think when they got to 20, which is great and phenomenal, they don't need to learn anything else. And I remember a guy, he was a guy that was speaking on a panel at a lunch that I was like kind of mad about being there. I was like, oh, the North Chamber lunch, blah, blah. Right. And I go there, and dude, the guy said something that was absolutely brilliant. He just says, man, he goes, look, if you want to grow your business by 20%, what are you doing to grow yourself by 20%? What books are you reading? Who are you hanging out with? He goes, what organizations you're a part of, like Vistage or anything that educates you? Are you doing any leadership? Because you've got to become a 20% better CEO that year, just in that 1 year. So now, like, talk about, Jeff was there and we had massive growth, and Mark, you had massive growth. What were you doing, like, year 5 into your business versus at the time that you're running everything and it was like, tens of millions of dollars? I mean, your job looks really different.
Yeah.
And what you learn looks really different. So you guys, if y'all just want to sit back and be happy where you're at, like, man, I've seen guys with $6 million businesses that are making $500K a year that I'm like,
God bless them. If
that's and they make more, and you're like, why not, dude? That's really, really good. That is better than most everybody else out here.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? So that's something else too, Mark. I mean, what did you do to kind of keep yourself sharp that way, like to keep learning? Was it just, I mean, look, there is the one way to do it. That's the hardest way, which is I make every single mistake because I don't listen to anybody, and I've got to fix it.
I made plenty.
But what do you think did you do that you felt like maybe helped you as y'all grew, and kind of what was?
Well, I love to. Again, we're all mature business people here and Christians. I want to be able to help more, whatever people, organizations, whatever passions, and it's going to take more business to fund that. And sure, I like to make money. I know we've all got toys we want to buy, and tickets, and Mavs tickets and all that. And it costs money for all that stuff. But that was the main thing. Is I just wanted to keep growing it, not to the point of crazy. I've gotten a little more tempered now, to the point of we're very profitable now. My oldest son wants to take it to the next level, so that's fine. Me, I want to continue to grow, of course, but not to the point of just meteoric growth. But because you got to take it easy, to fire those boosters to get into the next orbit, it's gonna cost a lot of money. But yeah, giving is, in my opinion, is probably one of the ingredients of the secret sauce. Is giving is, and you do it quietly. I mean, obviously, you've got some giving they're going to know who it is, but just quietly helping others, to be able to help others to maybe fulfill a dream. And they may only want to start a small business with just 2 or 3 people. I think that's terrific.
I will say something about the quiet giving that I've talked about with my pastor and some other people. And I said, man, I mean, I'm not one to give recognition. But what I would say on the contrary to that is to go, man, you need to let people know that need to do it. Like that need to, like if I don't know you're doing it, I can't follow that example really. And I think we're talking about it now, so I mean, it's fair enough. But what I was saying is, like, man, if you see somebody who, man, I think it enriches your life. That's the funny thing is you hear that all the time, and I go, dude, I've never given anything.
You'll be the one blessed.
Yes, it's not them. It's like me that feels all happy and blessed. But I do like it, and I like to tell stories about. So I think here's the cheat: is I can tell stories about Mark. Mark can tell me a story, and then I go tell somebody the story about, dude, he just ran across this lady, needed a car. Yeah. He just bought her a car. Yeah. I mean, that's the type of stuff that I think, Bubba does stuff like that all the time. And I was like laughing. I said, man, I always have a hard time finding, like, I'm looking for a way to serve sometimes. But man, Bubba, it just falls in his lap all the time. And he's like, man, I got this lady and she needs this. Hey, I got this person that need that. But, I think making yourself available to that. So, I mean,
I agree.
I think, really being purposeful, and it's kind of cool to go, hey, I want to give more.
Yeah.
Our pastor talks about, he goes, man, some of you guys, God's made to make money. He goes, some of you guys just have the natural ability to take something and make it really awesome and then make it throw off money. And he goes, I mean, it could be part of your ministry that you're basically helping fund some of these things that happen. I'd hope mine goes a little deeper than that, but it might not. I don't know. I mean, but there's not a lot of guys that make a lot of money that are willing to stroke big checks.
Well, I think you said it. We're all called to something different.
Yes.
And some of us are called to go do the missions. Some of us are called to fund the missions. And some of us are both. And there's no better than. It's just we're all together as a team, understanding if you feel God's calling on your life, just take steps into it, and it will become very clear. And I think something that I learned being at Baker Brothers is that it does matter why we do this.
Yeah.
And it does matter how we do this, not just that we do this. And I think that's something that is foreign concept to a lot of people. And you talk about false prophets out there. You talk about money being the motivator, and those things don't last. And it's easily something you can see.
Yeah.
And then boom, in a flash, they're gone.
Yeah.
And the stories we've heard today from you and you is it's about intertwining your faith in every decision.
Yeah.
You can't separate the two. And I didn't hear one time where you said the decision was made for you personally or selfishly. And so it's all intertwined together as believers. It says we all have a mission to make people's lives better, to impact people.
We've actually had a couple of employees that worked for ex-employees or dear friends to this day that wanted to start their own security company. They were good at it, and they had, everybody's got their branch of people, and they've done, and we helped them. We helped those guys. I'm not tooting my horn here. We helped them get started. I'm creating my own competitors. And to this day, they're very successful. They're running, they've got maybe 1,000 accounts. They're making six figures. They're great, doing great. And I think it's wonderful. But the idea is, I just want it, when I'm done, when the trumpet's called, we're fiercely protective of our reputation. We're fiercely protective of that. We want to make sure we do right because we're in some of the most untrusted industries. Security business is known for the door-to-door sales and all this other nonsense. We want to make sure that we leave a legacy when people meet my kids. They say, "Yeah, I know your dad back in so-and-so." I don't want them to hear any horrible stories about how we did them wrong, or whatever. But and the best thing I can do is help somebody with their dream, because I had the same dream. I did it. I mean, if somebody comes up to you in church and they got big stars in their eyes, and we want to start this XYZ company. And I just say, do like you said. I just sit down, let's talk, let's go to lunch. And they just think what it does to them is, wow, he talked to me. I mean, he sat there and he told me, he spilled his guts about what to do and what not to do. And he really took an interest in me. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people get worried about if you're doing a great job with your people, and there's not all of them. Not all of them are entrepreneurial guys.
No.
But a couple that want to do it, man, I mean, it would be the greatest thing if I go, hey, there's like 10 companies that are spinoffs of what we did.
Sure.
Because I did nothing but offer help for, and I'll be honest, guys, if you're one of those guys that work for a company, you want to start your own thing, and you don't go talk to the guy who made it happen, I go, big mistake. And when they out the door, I'm like going, hey guys, if y'all ever need me, you call me. I'll sit and talk to you.
We're still
I
friends.
will. Yeah, I'm not upset about this. I mean, dude, I feel like, hey, you gotta, it's one of those things like, hey, you gotta kind of have a set on you to go start your own business. Like, it's a lot of risk. And I will be telling, for some of you young guys, dude, it's really important that you need to understand that it is, like I told my son, to go, dude, you're not married. You don't have a kid. If you want to start something and it doesn't work out, it's kind of a good time to do it because you're going to have bills to pay. You're going to have kids. you're going to have responsibilities where the risk profile becomes pretty extreme, to be honest.
Yes, it does.
Like really extreme for you you're 40 years old or 45 years old and decide that you're working for us, you decide to go off and start your own thing. Dude, that takes a big set to go do that. Wow. And man, you got to realize that is so tough to do. So that being said, man, I'm going to try to help you out like I can. I mean, I got in a little bit of trouble for it at Baker because I was like, two of the guys I've known since they're like 19 years old. Yep. I go, hey, I'm helping them out. And then everybody's getting all upset. Like I was like, hey, guys, you remember that time we were scared of that 2-truck plumbing company? Never in the history of the world. I go, so why all of a sudden are you guys worried? I mean, but that's kind of the thing, though, is I go, well, so I got to turn my back on you because you're not wearing my, like, what are gang? You're not wearing my colors anymore. So I got to like, beat you out or something. I go, dude, it's just really about, hey, man, it's putting into people and making them better, even if they're your competitor, talking to them in a way that makes them feel good. But it's just, spending the time to do it, man, take the time.
Fine.
And you can't build a legacy keeping everything close to the vest and holding everything secure. What you said is key, is helping. There's no greater feeling than helping somebody else achieve what they want to achieve. And regardless if you're a $5 million company, a $50 million company, a $150 million company, the principle should remain the same. That person that you're going to help is not going to be competition.
I mean, it's one. I mean, I'll be honest. Like Gus Santos at Milestone, they're probably our biggest competition. But I will tell you, it makes me proud every time that he says, "Hey, man." I'll be honest. Like we wouldn't be where we are today if I didn't meet Jimmy and weren't friends with Jimmy. And it's the same thing with Gus. Like we wouldn't be where we were today because we helped each other and we did that. Now it was kind of, I guess I'm technically 10 years older, so maybe I could have been a mentor, but I felt like more of a peer than a mentorship.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll be honest, like we shared ideas and shared thoughts and like helped ourselves grow. So I just, like I said, I can't encourage you guys enough that are out there to mentor, pick a mentor, pick somebody within your own business. Like if you don't Mark's got his kids, right? Like in the business. My kids aren't in the business, but I still did a decent job mentoring the guys that were under me so that they could do my job. At a point, you want to make them so good that they can do your job. And Jeff won't brag on himself, but he left and went to a company that was struggling, and he got it out of a ditch and is doing really well with it. And then Bubba, he's taken over, Baker, and man, they haven't missed a lick. I mean, people, of course, it's probably not exactly the same, but they're doing really super, super well. Yeah. So it's like, man, that's kind of makes me proud of a legacy of leadership. And then the more that you guys create other leaders, I mean, that's really cool. But we had some guys go, hey, we got this 90-day program, for leadership, da-da-da-da. And I give you a little certificate. And I go, I would tell a kid, I'd be like, hey, dude, they got a certificate, but my guys are actually doing this stuff. Like, they're literally getting it done. That's right.
And to your point, I'm 2 years younger than you. Yeah. But still, you were a mentor to me in the business. Age doesn't really matter. It's about desire and where you want to take that thing. And it's not like I'm over here trying to stack up billions of dollars. I'm just trying to pay it forward. Help somebody else, put other people in position to better provide for their families. That's what drives me. It's not. I like to win too, but that's the second part of it. But the first part is how can I make opportunities for others to better their situation, and then help me win, because we got to win. Right?
I mean, here we are talking about giving. You are giving a lot. When you help a potential competitor, that's pretty big giving, and it will come back to you. Yes, as the world would see it, you're creating a competitor. Have you lost your mind? Well, that's not the way the Word looks at it. The Word looks at it like you help someone, it's going to be fine. And they may burn you every once in a while. They may do it.
It's true.
That shouldn't stop.
Probably 90,
knives in the back.
Probably 90% of the time. That's what I told Bubba. You're going to reach down 10 times, and 9 times your hand's going to get bit. But the one time the guy grabs, you can pull him up.
Exactly.
That's it. But I also want to say something as well as just being a Christian entrepreneurial guy. Jeff said something about winning. Look, I don't know as much about Mark. I know Jeff and I are the biggest babies ever. If we start losing, we will
I don't like
get
to lose.
so. And I was like telling you, I was like, I can tell you right now, Mark. Just probably some of the conversations with the Mavericks and stuff. You know, they get in a bad season, dude. I mean, it's probably ruins his whole freaking year. He probably has
I don't like to lose.
Well, are you a Cowboys fan? Because we've been dealing with that.
Cowboys
you know?
and Rangers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now, I mean, with the Mavericks won, like, what was it?
20-something games.
20.
Yeah.
No, but how many years ago was it the Mavs like won the
2011.
championship?
2011.
Okay, so it
So
wasn't too
15
long
years ago.
Yeah, 15 years
Well,
ago.
they were in the finals to 2024.
This is true.
So we need Mark to fire up another trip so they can get back to the finals.
Oh, they will.
I
It'll
just
be a
can't-
while, but they will.
The Cowboy deal is like what's hilarious is like I just laugh and go, dude, I remember like it was yesterday when they just went on that run, and dude, it was like
30
man,
years ago.
I mean, they could have went 4 years in a row.
My son
literally,
has never
legit.
seen the Cowboys win
neither has
anything.
mine.
Yeah.
My son, like,
Yeah.
and I will tell you this though, when you see people have a competitive spirit, that's something that I think you need to lean into because man, people that like to win, they will figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really like to win, you're gonna fall down, dust off, get back up. Those people are just tenacious. Like that was the thing about my son. I didn't worry about him getting in business because, dude, that kid liked to win so much that he would start angry, crying in the huddle or
Yeah.
something when I was
Or hate to lose,
coaching.
right?
Yeah.
Just hate to lose that bad. But you know, there is that part of you have to embrace. Like when you lose, go, okay, how did we fail? What do we need to do? How do we fix it? That's a big part of being a problem solver is to go, okay, this didn't work,
Yeah.
but part of it worked. So how do we get the other part to work? And, you know, I've said this a lot on the show about the Tom Brady. There's a little clip with Tom Brady. He just goes, I don't remember the games I won. I just remember the ones I lost because he embraces that failure as a data point for success and going, okay, how do I become successful? So, you know, my son, like in the Cowboy games, it was so funny, man. They would lose, and dude, he would just like get up and go in his room and slam the door and just need to be alone.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, and if you went in there, dude, and he's a super calm, nice kid, do you not want to go in there? I just go, Melinda, just let him be in there. Don't do anything. And she go, well, I want to go, no, just let it be. And then I go, why you get so mad, buddy? I mean, you didn't practice. You didn't work. It's
my team.
You're just watching them.
Yeah.
I mean, why'd you get so mad? But, you know, I think that's what that I always told him when he was playing sports. I said, hey, look, man, be a game time player. When it's on the line, win it. Don't just get a bunch of tackles when nobody cares, but make the ones that make a difference. And he's done it time and time and time again. But I think if we find people to come in to mentor and to lead that are those people that are just like, it's this look at me generation.
Yes.
Like, hey, you got to see me on Facebook. You got to see me on Instagram. Look at me, look at me, look at me. But to you guys out there that are in that generation, man, think about this. Look at me because of what I've done, not because I'm here and in front of you, but you're gonna pay attention because of the things that I do and the way I win, and that is that's where all the impact is. It's not
do something first. Do something
Yeah.
first. Put some skins on the wall, and then we'll look at you when you keep winning, right?
Yeah,
And that's a great point.
But we have to. That's what we have to encourage these guys to do it, and that's what we need to do. Is we find guys that want to win so bad that we just go. I go, man, you give me that guy, man. I can do it because they've got the drive, they've got the
with
effort.
integrity, win with integrity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing you talked about earlier. Is like win the right way. I go, anybody can beat you. Like, yeah, if the Mavericks can go beat the freaking high school team down the street and kill them every time, they would get no joy whatsoever out of that. But the Mavericks go and beat somebody who that was the game. I remember. I can't remember what year it was, but when they beat Phoenix, they were supposed to. When they went to the finals, they were not supposed to beat Phoenix
Western Conference Finals
whatsoever in the Western Conference Finals.
They just destroyed them,
just killed them, and that would be something that if you ask Luka about, he'll probably remember every game.
Oh, he does. The Devin Booker look when Luka looks up at Devin.
We were at that game, and it's funny. I was sitting with Kyle Tapley, our mutual friend, and Kyle just gets real loud. He's clapping, yeah.
Shout out, Kyle.
And I was going, Kyle, take it easy. I mean, there's like a 30 points ahead, and we're in Phoenix. And I was. People were looking at us, and I go, "Take it easy, Kyle. I mean, let's be no. Let's just drive it home." And I'll never forget that. I said, "Like, take it easy. I think the game's in the bag, but let's be a little more." These people were looking at us, but Jerry Jones. I mean, the guy's a fierce competitor, and he's never going to be happy till he gets another one. We'll see.
We're still waiting for that other one, but
still happy.
Listen, Mark, it's been a great time today, spending time with you, getting to know you, listening to your story. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing. And hopefully all you guys out there got gold from Mark Thompson at Smith Thompson Home Services. And look, I've enjoyed this. It's been a while since we've recorded. So, Jimmy, it's been good to see you. But everybody, thank you for joining in to us today. Thank you, Mark, for being here.
You bet.
Jimmy, to you. Until next time, see you later.